Hello, my name is Ash Turner, and I am doing a practice for interview questions, and I'll just get started and right to it. The first question is, what does the CRISP DM methodology for data mining entail? What does the data analyst do in each step? So to break it down, the CRISP DM stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. For many companies, it can vary between a couple of steps to up to 6 steps, but it's just 6. So the first one is a business understanding. And those questions are, what are the goals and the priorities for the company? And once I know what the company's goals are, that helps me to find the correct information that will guide me in my future analysis projects. The next one is data understanding. In this one, I gather the data and check it for any quality issues, such as errors, missing values, or any inconsistencies. Then I can explore the basic descriptive statistics, such as the mean, median, mode, averages, and etc. And by doing this, I can document what I've found and track my progress and insights, which links to the next stage, which is data preparation. Data preparation is where the majority of my time will be spent, and I will go over the data and I will clean it. If I find anything amiss, I document it and I remedy those errors I found, and then I fix them. At this point, I construct my data for readability, clarity, and how the data makes sense, especially to my colleagues who might also be working on that project with me. The fourth step is modeling. During this stage, I decide which algorithm model to use to explain my findings. I'll design a test plan for my model that will be tested by another data analyst to assess the rate and accuracy and consistency. The fifth step is evaluation. And that's when we assess my model and that meets the business goals. This step is getting feedback from my teammates and determine if the model works, if it needs further testing, or if I abandon it and try a different approach. If I believe my model should be implemented, I prepare a presentation to support my recommendation. And last of all, the final stage is deployment. My model effectively delivers results that are aligned with the company's needs. At that point, I will continue to monitor those results and report any changes to the model, especially if there's any detail that needs adjustment for development, purpose quantitative threshold changes, and any performance changes. My second question is, explain what needs to be done before you can forecast time series. In other words, what does time series analysis involve? So time series analysis is a descriptive process that consists of one dependent variable and one independent variable to understand the data by looking for patterns or trends in the data and then trying to explain that. In doing so, I analyze the history of those variables and then can predict the future based on past results. Discuss the main principles of data ethics, as well as what companies or organizations could do to uphold these principles. Some of the main principles of data ethics are privacy, transparency, accountability, and equality. Privacy states that laws and policies are put into place so that the individuals are aware of how the data is collected, handled, and stored. Transparency is like the spyglass over the collected data, so the clients are aware of what personal information is being used and analyzed. Accountability is being responsible for the data received and how it is used. That way, the client's private information is protected by the company and are held accountable if they misuse that information. And then finally, there's the equality ethic. Equality is treating everyone equally from biases and discrimination when handling that private information. The next question, imagine you're an analyst at a financial service and you have some concerns about bias in the way a predictive model was measured. How would you raise your concerns with your manager? Make some suggestions for how to avoid measurement bias in the future. I would express those concerns to my team lead and discuss why I believe the predictive model could be biased. Excluding a data point that may not prove relevant may still add some insight to the predictive model, or perhaps the same predictive model was not representative of the population when the machine measured the observations. And then I would insist on a different approach of the data collection. It could mean putting in additional work and hours to ethically clean and then review the data. It may be worth it to have a set of different eyes to review. And this way we have multiple measuring devices or human individuals to review it and update it. And then lastly, that ensures individuals who are reviewing the measurements within the data have had the adequate level of experience and training to avoid measurement bias in the future. And then lastly, the final question is explain the difference between regression and classification models in predictive analysis. When would you use these models over the other? The regression model is used to measure the relationship between quantitative variables, usually to create a predictive model. One variable may affect another to make predictions. And for example, I would use the regression model when comparing sunscreen sales to hot chocolate sales. Historically, you would buy sunscreen during the sunny months of the year, which would affect the increased cost of the sunscreen. And then hot chocolate, which is one of my favorite drinks, is a likely fall and winter beverage, so the sales would climb during those seasons, as well as the cost per cup. The classification model predicts what category an entity will fall into based on a set of predefined features. For example, let's say you've set up a Netflix account and already the algorithm sends suggestions, whether it's thrillers, comedy, drama, action. Your choices are to either watch it or not based on the predefined features when you set up your account. So that's how classification model works. At this point, that is the conclusion of my interview practice questions. I hope you enjoyed.